Okay, so here we have loaded the grammar with the uppercase and lowercase B, and I've gone over this with him prior to the lesson. Here is boy, ball, and bat, all with the lowercase b. And then here's an illustration. You can also grab an actual baseball bat and a ball, which is what I did with him. And we discussed, of course, the phonetic sound of B and how to differentiate the phonetic sound of B to D. So some ways that we put this into play was I let him, this is dry erase and this is a larger marker. You can use smaller ones for kiddos that have a different grip, but I let him practice writing the B. He's left-handed, so that's always tricky with us, but it was a highly effective way to go ahead and put his own letters into it and his handwriting into play. Then I let him use the moon sand. I saw this in the classroom be put into play with salt in a tray. It was messy, but it was worth it. And the kids can manipulate the sand and write their letter B's. I have him do this a set number of times correctly when I prompt him to. And then after he does that, he can have his own free play in the sand. Also, another way for fine motor skills, depending on your learners, is to take these little bead boards, and you can get these from the Dollar Tree, and have them put the beads, ask them, prompt them, depending on where they are in their learning. Do they start making their lowercase b to the right, like this? Then you're going over right-handed and left-handedness, which is really important for early learners as well. Or do they go to the left? And then you can have them finish their B. But I just start with this line first, and I found that that was really effective to prompt him to think, okay, here's the grammar that I know, and how do I translate that to here? So for any modifications for your learners, if they're having a hard time with left-handed, right-handed, what have you, you can get them started with a different color going this way, and then that'll prompt them to know, okay, I need to go to the right. Also in the sand, if they're having a really hard time manipulating something that's a little bit smaller or bigger, you can use whatever. This is just the knife that comes with it. And then we move on from there. As a reward, he can, I have sensory beads that are nearby. So that's always something fun. You guys, they're called water beads, and you just simply have them filled with water, and the kids can squish these and play with these. So the purpose of this is just to have a little bit of a break time and give them 20 to 30 seconds of play with this in between each activity or at the end, depending on what your learners need. Over here, after we move on from this, and this can be all in one group depending on how long your centers are, or you can split this up over the course of a couple of days depending on how you do your centers. And here is a worksheet that I developed just with some loops and with B's, and then we've got some D's. So when we've moved to a level of being able to write it on our own, identify it, now here we are being able to differentiate. So we're synthesizing information, not quite yet, but we're getting there. So this aligns with the UDL because they can take a chance to be wrong. So I have him highlight first. So he highlights all of his letters that are the correct form of B. And then after he's done highlighting and manipulating that, he can choose, depending on what works for your center. We can use paint, which is always a fun and great way for some of you teachers that are saying to yourself, oh goodness, there's no way that would work. That's completely fine. Again, this is what works for us, and what I've seen work in classrooms is crayons. So you have them color all of the space that has the letter B in it, and they'll see success as they have these D spots open. And of course, if they fail, it's okay. You can run off as many copies of this as you need and have them do it as much as they need. This is the center that I have created and have found great success with.